This is the Chrissy Swan Show.
And you know I've said that there is nothing more thrilling than seeing a nude person in the wild.
Yeah, it's great.
Once you see it, you never, ever forget it. It's etched on your memory forever.
I'm sad that I didn't live in the generation of nudists running through like the MCG or like streakers running through the MCG.
God, the best was Helen D'Amico. She was amazing. Anyway, a guy has been given the heads up that there is a nudist ordering food on his DoorDash app. He's gone to deliver the order. What do you think it might be? What do you think a nudist might? Hot dogs.
Subway.
Yeah.
Footlong.
A DoorDash delivery guy has been given the heads up that he's about to deliver to a nudist and he's refused to do it.
Hey, that's nice of the nudist to at least like give him the heads up.
Well, it might be in the notes on the profile. You know how you can do that?
Yeah.
What do your notes say on your delivery?
Mine are long because my apartment building is like, there's lots of them. It's like, please find these steps. Please walk up these steps. I am 2 buildings across on the left. Please buzz this code and then press hash. Please come up to level 4. Like, it's long.
Does the food ever get to you?
Oh, rarely do they make it to the door. I often have to go down. And as you can imagine, I'm thrilled with that.
Very happy about that. My instructions are very simple. Leave at gate.
Yeah, great.
That's it.
No communication required
communication
in face-to-face.
whatsoever. Well, this guy didn't want any communication. He's like, no, I've got the food, but I am not letting a nude man open the door to me. And then DoorDash got mad at him for it.
Yeah, it's like too bad, mate. Shut your eyes.
No.
Leave it at the gate.
I mean, I'd be quite thrilled. I remember, in fact, I was looking through realestate.com.au this week because it's my
obsession.
More self-care. And I saw the back of a house that I was like, I know the back of that house.
Well, you must be like nearly finishing realestate.com.au
I'm
if you're recognising houses.
Exactly. So I'm looking at it, I put my glasses on, I look deep into it, like, that looks very familiar. It had a pool in the foreground and then sort of an 80s back facade of a house.
Right.
And I was like, that's... And then I went, oh my God, this was the house that backed onto my childhood house. That pool was where I saw my first nude neighbour.
Oh, how thrilling.
So the back paling fence on our place had, it was quite old and it had sort of those knot holes in it sometimes, just not a design, just
No, but there was the few. I loved those.
Yes. And so I would, because I had a very boring childhood with absolutely nothing to do but watched I Dream of Jeannie, I would stick my eye up like a peeping Tom through the fence and you could see into other people's lives. One day I got more than I bargained for. My eye was pressed up to the hole and I saw the dad of the family completely stark as swimming in his pool.
Was he home alone or is that just how he rolled? Was he just a nudist?
No, I think his kids were there too.
Yeah, right.
I think he was just a nude neighbour. And then when I got much, much older, I lived in a flat that sort of the living room window looked across a driveway into an identical living room window.
Yeah.
And there was an ex-football player, actually, an older guy, an ex-football player, and he was always nude in front of his window.
That's exciting. I love it.
It was very delightful.
The Chrissy Swan Show.
And this poor old DoorDash guy, you deliver one laksa and a side order of spring rolls and you find out that the person that ordered it is a nudist and is about to answer the door.
With their foot long.
Stuck with their own little sausage roll, spring roll hanging out. A nudist. And there is nothing more delightful, I think, than seeing a nudist. Rowan, when have you seen a nudist?
One of my mates, a big shout out to Glenn, that when we were young, we used to always go to his place and say, it's your house in the Arvos for a swim because his mum was a bit of a nudist and probably 1 out of 5 times you'd turn up there and she was naked sunbaking around the pool.
How thrilling. I love that you knew that she was a nudist and that's why you would go to Glenn's house.
Oh, it was a big debate at school who was going there because he was only ever allowed 4 or 5 people there, so it was like, who gets to go?
And how old are you right now, Rowan?
I'm 45.
So his mum would have been about your age.
Yeah, she was. I think she was late 30s. She had him quite young. She was definitely not a bad sort for back in the day.
Oh my God!
Did Glenn find it weird, Rowan?
Oh, he hated it, but he knew what was happening, and yeah.
What was the mother's name? I just want to know.
It was Rhonda.
Rhonda!
Raunchy
Yeah.
Of course it was.
Rowan, you're in the draw for Nova's 10K a day in
I
May.
love that. Imagine how thrilling it would be to just never know when you're going to pop up to your mate Glenn's house and his mum's going to be nude.
Right, and doing it with mates as well. Like,
I love that. Me, pick me, Glenn, pick me.
what an experience!
Faith, what happened 12 years ago?
So we were building our second house. One morning I decided to open up the back blinds and, hello, my neighbour's standing there full glory.
What was he doing there?
He was just enjoying the sunshine, just taking everything in, and he didn't care.
And what was his name? Reg.
Yes, let's just call him that.
Let's
shall
call
we?
him
Yeah.
Reg. I can see
Yeah.
him now. A little bit of a brown pot belly, maybe some bow legs.
And no better way to start your day than a good look at a good sunrise.
Agreed. Did you know how Reg could have gotten more vitamin? No, we won't talk about. Jules, what happened when you were at a client's house?
Yeah, so I'm a sales rep and I go into people's houses all the time, and I had to do a measure one afternoon. It was a super hot day, and I met with this lovely lady, and we were out the back on the deck talking about how she wants these amazing blinds. And the next minute, her husband, who turned out he was a yoga instructor, walked out down to the pool, ripped his gear off completely in front of me. She just kept talking like it was totally normal, but the worst part was
Wow.
he literally bent over to put his big togs on and fully brown-eyed me.
Did he
And
know?
he
Jules,
said nothing.
did he know
said
you were
nothing.
there?
Absolutely. He walked past me and shook my hand and said hi on such and such, and then just went down, and the kids were in the pool swimming. He just got his gear off, but the bending over,
Yeah, that's too much.
strategically facing me, and yet she just kept going. She was like, "Oh, I just want these blinds."
See,
and blah,
when
blah,
you were
blah.
when you were talking, then I saw him bend over, and the obnoxious part of that, the obnoxious visual, wasn't the
The brown.
the brown eye. It was the poochy doodle
Yeah.
and ball bag. Do you know what I mean? Like that from that angle is really very intimate.
Not pretty. Let's finish with Kylie.
Kylie, what is your story? What happened?
Okay, about 20 years ago, we lived in some units in Brisbane, and I just bought a VHS, whatever camera that just came out, and I was videotaping my daughter in the pool, and then I'm sort of like moving the camera around, and next thing, the set of units next door, there was a naked guy with a blow-up dog.
The Chrissy Swan Show. The Chrissy Swan Show.
You know, every time I hear that song, I see in my mind's eye, I had au pairs when my babies were very
Yes.
little, and one of them, Jess, had the most magnificent buzzies, and she would dance around the backyard to that song, and every time I hear it, I'm reminded of her gorgeousness.
It feels like summer, that song.
Yes, you are listening to the Chrissy Swan Show on Nova. Yes, we're talking about buzzies, but we're also talking about retiring. Kris Jenner will never retire, and I get it.
Yeah.
I think because if you're lucky enough to be loaded like Kris Jenner, and my problem with this is, does she really work?
I'm going to defend her here. Yes, she does. That job would be so hard. The wheeling and dealing and negotiating of the 7 people she's managing, and then adding public scrutiny, and then adding having to turn up and have cameras in your face every day. I know it sounds like it's just easy, but obviously,
See,
as we
I
know,
would
it's a
rather
job.
that than be on an assembly line making car
Oh,
engines.
totally. But it's still a different skill.
It is. So her mother hasn't retired. And
MJ.
she's in her 80s. I mean, a professional candelabra seller.
In San Diego.
In San Diego. I mean, could you think of anything more boring? But we're talking about how early you retired. Hello, Bronwyn.
Yeah, hi, Christy.
Now, how old are you now?
I am now 56.
And what happened at 50, Bron?
At 50, I'd done 30 years as a copper, and it sort of caught up with me.
Yes. That
yes.
would be, I reckon, policing and nursing are 2 of the hardest jobs ever.
Yeah, I loved it, and I'm really glad I had that career. I made a difference, and then I thought, no, yeah, this retirement's going to be a great gig, and like my mum is free, so like that's a job in itself. But not being part like that community and having purpose and getting out that front door each day. Like for 3 years, I didn't do it, and I was living that retirement life. But now I've like rejoined the workforce. I'm a driving instructor. And I'm making a difference with all these teenagers, helping them get their
is
food.
great.
Bronwyn, can I ask, because I'm so interested in people that work in those types of work fields, what's like one thing or one weird task or job that you miss not being a police officer? Like, is it speeding fines, getting people speeding? Like, what's one little job that was kind of fun?
No, I didn't like giving people fines.
Was there anything you enjoyed?
I did. I loved catching people on the spot, breaking into people's houses and actually catching them and making them responsible for what they did, and like, helping all those victims. So I got a lot out of that.
I think you would be a great driving instructor, much better than me, because, you know, I'm a bit of a lead foot. All right, Fiona, hello there.
Hello, how are you?
Good. Your brother retired very early. What did he do with himself?
Yeah, well, afterward, like he originally worked over in China, travelling the world, getting students, advertising for students to study abroad. So he was travelling a lot. And, it ended up he came home mid-40s, about 45, had enough, came home. They bought a house over here in Melbourne, and then his wife went back to China to build a restaurant, and he looked after the kids.
But how did he afford things? Like, how do you live?
He was on really, really good money.
And he didn't spend it on rubbish, did he, like me and Jack too?
Also, he could have been doing some other stuff in China.
He could have been doing some other stuff. All right, Abby, let's finish with you. I cannot believe my eyes. How old was your grandfather, your pop, when he retired?
Hey, Chrissy and Jack, how are you?
Hi, Abby.
Good, Abs.
So my pop was 41 when he retired.
What?
He just had some good money in some big organisations, and he was very smart with what he did with his money. He got 10 years out of his life after he retired. He pretty much travelled the world. He went and met a new woman and got married, and then he died at about 51.
My God.
From a cardiac arrest.
I tell you what, lucky he finished working at 41, because otherwise he probably would have still been at work when his heart gave out.
Totally.
My God.
The Chrissy Swan Show.
I like Kris Jenner. There you go, I said it.
Oh.
I like her.
I know you like Kim and Chloe, but I wasn't sure if you would vibe Chris.
I do. I just feel like she's in the cut and thrust of life.
Yeah.
How old is she?
I think she's 68 now, I'm going to guess.
Okay, she's very young. I thought she was a bit older than that. Not that I care about ages.
Tom's spot. It's kind of embarrassing that's spot on, actually.
So you knew?
Yeah.
I love it. Oh, I don't know. I'm just having a guess. 68. Her birthday is August the 7th.
November 5.
Is she November 5?
I googled that. Guys, I don't know that. I just googled that. Her name just came up. Don't worry.
Oh my God, her birthday is 2 days after mine.
You two are similar.
Except she spells her name the wrong way.
Oh, true.
K-R-I-S.
No, but it suits them. It'd be weird if she was C.
That is so true. Now, she has sat down with James Corden. How's
he doing?
That's a discussion for a whole other time. I'm surprised she did it.
Do you know why? This is again embarrassing.
Okay, tell me why.
So James Corden's old executive producer of his late night show, Ben Winston, also produces The Kardashians. So the reason you always see Kylie and Kim and everyone on the James Corden show, even though it's done, was because the EP is the same of both programs.
Can you imagine the emails that flew over Calabasas trying to tie this down? Because I don't reckon she would have wanted to do it.
I don't think so either, Swanee, but she knows it's good for her mate Ben, and there's a new Kardashian season in 9 days.
Yeah, and no one, what is it? No, only the devil works harder than Kris Jenner. Okay, so this is her answer to a very good question by James Corden.
Do you think you'll ever retire?
No.
Why?
Because my mom retired when she was 82. And she talks about her job every single day when we're together.
Right.
And she will say to me, my job kept me young and with purpose. It's finding solutions for things. It's your organizational skills. It's your people skills. It's the love of life. It's presenting yourself to the world a certain way. and interacting with the people that you love.
I'm going to go rogue here and ask you a question that you may not know the answer to, even though you've been 5 for 5 so far. What did Kris Jenner's mother do for a living?
I believe MJ had her own candelabra store in San Diego. Tom, can you please fact check this for me? I know that Kris was a flight attendant before she met Bruce.
Yeah.
Or Rob, but I think she had her own store.
Right, so she was... oh, my God, you are spot on.
I watched a lot of that show.
Candelabra shop as well.
And San Diego, I always remember because you said it was the most boring place ever.
Oh, my God. Can I tell you a story about San Diego? I'll get back to this thing. I was in San Diego. I was so bored. I was screaming.
I remember.
And I got into an Uber and I said, where are the gays? Tell me where the gays are.
Take me to the home.
Yes. And he said, they're over in Northside or something. And I said, Peg, get in the car. We're going where there's some lights.
Chase some rainbows, baby.
And he was absolutely right. It was the best day of my, that I had in San Diego. But back to Kris Jenner. She's never going to retire.
No.
And I understand that. I never want to stop working. In fairness, does Kris Jenner really work and do I really work? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a very different industry. She's not exactly...
It's fun.
Yeah, she's not at the checkout.
Yeah, and my job is so fun it doesn't feel like work.
Agreed.
And you're
I'm
the
the same. Yeah, if I could do this till I die, I'm happy.
We are the sort of people that go, I never want to.
No.
I would be so sad on the day that I don't get to do this anymore.
Yeah, I mean, often in our industry, it's just taken from us with about 24 hours notice,
Yeah,
so all good.
You don't get the choice.
And then there's just years of therapy after.
How does retirement sound? Because it's happening right now, Chrissy. But I want to know, have you retired early?
Yeah.
My uncle retired at 40.
What?
I know. And I was much younger, obviously. At the time, I would have been about maybe 17 or something, 18. And I thought, well, that's fair. That's old enough.
No.
Now that I'm 10 years past that, I'm like, what are you going to do with yourself if you retire at 40?
I know, it feels like death should happen at 50 if you're retiring at 40.
Yes. I mean, luckily for you, it didn't. Otherwise, that would have been a very sad end to this story.
The Chrissy Swan Show.
We're talking about cancelled weddings. A Socceroo came fresh from a 2-day bender. In fairness, he had won something, and that's a big deal to people that play sport.
Yes. That's a big deal to people that play sport.
Anyway, very bad timing to have his wedding in Denmark 2 days after a very big game. Anyway, forgot his passport, couldn't get married. His wife now was not angry.
No, she seems really cool.
I can tell that she's not angry. She's like, wedding cancelled, party still going on tonight, of course, which is really... often the reason that people get married is to have the party.
Right. And that's the way to go about it. Don't be mad at him. That won't fix or solve anything.
That is not good. 13 24 10. When have you had to cancel your wedding? Samantha, you did, and this is very romantic.
Yeah, it has a good ending, so that's always helpful.
Tell me what happened. How long had you been going out with the man that you met at the altar?
About a year and a half.
Right, and that's quite a quick wedding.
It was, and we were very young. About 18 and 20.
Ooh. Right, and then the big day is looming. Did you get to the big day?
2 months before the big day, I cancelled everything, broke up with him, everything.
Oh my God, why?
I realised I was in love with someone else, and I didn't know if he liked me that way or if he even cared about me, but I couldn't go ahead in good consciousness knowing I had such strong feelings for someone else.
Did you say that to the man that you were about to marry? No,
no.
God, no.
I just said it wasn't working out, that, I didn't feel...
It didn't feel right.
Samantha, it's really brave to then go and tell the other person you're in love with them. How did they respond?
I didn't.
What did they say?
I didn't. I told them that I cancelled my wedding and we just started hanging out more. And 6 months later, we got together and we have been together for 14 years now, and we got married 10 years ago.
And please tell me the first guy...
we got married 4 years ago.
Did the first guy whose heart you clearly tore out of his chest and stomped on, did he have a happy ending too?
He ended up getting married and having a kid with someone else. I know they broke up after that because I got a message. But
he's a dud anyway. Don't worry about it.
Oh, it's so sad. Okay, let's go to Anon. Hello, Anon.
Hi, Chrissy. How are you?
I mean, straight away, if your name's Anon, your story is juicy. What happened?
Look, it's really not that juicy. But anyway, no, we had planned the wedding. Invites went out. Venue was booked. Plane tickets were booked. We had a whole lot of family and friends that were going to go all the way over to Fiji. And one day we just sat down, had a conversation, and he was like, well, I don't want a wedding. And I was like, well, I don't want a wedding. So we were kind of just both doing it because we thought each other wanted a wedding. And yeah, we just decided, no, we're not going to have a wedding. Decided to go to Seychelles and elope ourselves, just the two of us. And yeah.
Oh, and you're still married.
Still married, 9 years later, 2 kids.
Anon, why didn't you have this conversation before booking everything, though, on the flights? Like, what? Do you know what I mean?
We did, but I think as all the planning went by and the guest list came and mother-in-laws, started adding their 2 cents, it was...
Too much.
Please tell me that after your... ceremony in the Seychelles, you found out that he was already married to 3 other women with 7 kids, because otherwise, why are we calling you Anon?
Legit.
It's normally...
Maybe it's kids I don't know about.
Oh. All right, let's finish with you, Leon. Hi, Leon.
Hey, how you going?
Good. What happened?
Yes, I was working. I do weddings, so I was working at a wedding. I came there, rocked up, had all my gear ready 1 hour before they walk in, usually the couple, you know what I mean? Then, straight, like, everyone's there, probably about 600 people. It was a big wedding, you know? And then the owner comes up to me and he goes, mate, like, go pack up, go home. I go, what do you mean? He goes, the wedding's cancelled. Apparently the groom got arrested and the MC had to announce it, like, to everyone inside the room. He got arrested. I don't know what for, but it was at the house before they even left, you know what I mean?
Oh, my
God. Yeah, the food was ready, everyone was there, everyone was dressed up, and everyone just was like, what's going on, like
everyone should have just stayed there and had the party. No one cares if there's a bride or groom there.
And also the cops should have waited right until he was walking down the aisle just to give everyone a big show.
Yes.
The Chrissy Swan Show.
Socceroos star Jackson Irvine. I admit I had never heard of him until this article.
Nor had I, Swan. But I've done some Insta stalking and he looks like a vibe. He looks cool.
He does look like a vibe. He's got that cool sort of moustache, tat, crazy sunglasses thing going on.
He kind of reminds me of Fisher. You know the DJ with those wild sunglasses?
Yes.
That sort of energy.
Yeah, he looks really cool. And his girlfriend, fiancé, now wife, they have actually finally tied the knot. She looks really cool and progressive as well.
Yeah.
But here's the story. They were due to be married in a European city. I think it's where she's from.
Denmark.
Jamila Pure. And they had to go to like the registry office, the equivalent of the registry office. And that was all fine. He had a 2-day bender before the wedding, which, I mean, the jury's out as to whether he should have been doing that. I would have been very upset.
I get where you're coming from, Swan, but his team had just won on the Sunday, a pretty, like, from what I understand, important
I'll allow it.
Soccer game or match. So I guess you're going to get carried away.
Yes, absolutely.
Like, you can't not.
And in fairness to him, even though he was going pretty hard with his teammates, he did turn up to the registry office in Denmark to marry his girlfriend.
The fumes that would have been coming off of him.
Oh, my God.
Government official and his fiancée must have been like, mate.
I wonder if he did, like, there would have been a plan to go from the airport to the hotel and get dressed.
Yeah.
It's fancy. It's a wedding.
Yeah.
I wonder if he just came straight in his runners and...
Straight from the sesh.
Anyway, he would have absolutely stunk, like keep a naked flame away from him. He's turned up. Yes, honey, I've made it. I'm a good boy. He didn't bring his passport, and you cannot get married in that city, in that building, without a passport.
Oh, that's grim.
And so she presumably would have been all dressed up and ready to go.
To be fair, right, I'm not saying this is her responsibility, but had she known, like if I had a boyfriend and I'd known that he'd been on a 2-day sesh, I would have maybe said...
You would have had it in your bum bag, you reckon?
Yeah. Or I would have said to him, hey, have you got it? I just think knowing the headspace you're in those 2 days, you're not thinking of your passport. So I would have grabbed it for him.
Yeah, I think that should have been her job. You're absolutely right. But it's got us thinking. Have you cancelled your wedding and why? We want stories of benders, stories of cold feet, stories of finding out stuff about the person you're supposed to marry.
And in good news, these two did eventually get married.
Yes,
we love that.
It looked beautiful and casual and cool as heck.
Now check this out.
The Chrissy Swan Show is a Nova podcast. For more great comedy shows like this, head to novapodcast.com.au.